Hi, I'm Kat Fowler.
And I'm Amy Sikarskie.
And welcome to our third episode of our series, Conversations with the Council of Light. So I'm the host of the Soul Awakening podcast. I'm an energy healer and a reader. And today we'll be interviewing Amy Sikarskie, who's an intuitive channel and the co-founder of Spirit School and the author of the Star-Seeded Ascension series with the books Messages from the Councils and Activating the Starseed. And we'll be interviewing the Council of Light, which she'll be channeling. And so before we get started, just please make sure if you're new to subscribe to this channel. And if you turn on notifications, you'll receive updates of all of our future interviews and videos. And if you enjoy these videos, just leave a thumbs up or leave a comment. And we read all the comments, so we're going to be really excited if you have a question for them for one of our future episodes for viewer Q&A. So thank you for joining me, Amy. I'm excited for episode 3.
I am as well. Thank you so much. So if you want to know a little bit more about trance channeling, physical mediumship, check out the other videos where we explain it a little bit more. Today I'm just going to connect in and we're going to go with the flow. So I'm excited to bring through the Council of Light for everybody today.
Yes, and in episode 2, we talk a lot about who they are and where they reside. So if you're interested in that, just go back through the episodes.
Perfect. Yes, you have to keep me on track with what's on what show. Okay, so I'm just going to click in. So one moment.
All right.
Yes, we are here, and it is a very joyful opportunity for us to be here with you today. Greetings, dear friends. We are very happy to be here. This is an expression which you would understand. It is very light-hearted when we come through, and we are very happy to be here to bring messages and to assist you with support through these challenging opportunities in which are occurring upon the shores of Gaia that are weaving through many expressions and experiences here, mankind, and through the other kingdoms of creation. So here we are to offer support, to bring you some peace and some shelter of the energetic states and space of consciousness that you might reside with a loving vibration within your heart frequencies that will see you through for the next days and weeks to come. So, dear Kat, thank you very much for having us, and do share with us the questionings of your heart and mind.
Thank you for being here again. And so this episode, we left off with the second dimension last time. And so I wanted to pick up with that in a moment. But I had a few questions come in about the 12D grid and just all the dimensions that we were speaking of beforehand with our experience. And so I wanted to start with asking just the questions on the 12D grid and just the 12 dimensions that we'll be discussing. And so the first question is, each dimension linked to the chakras? Because in energy healing we learned that they are, but so what's the relation between our human chakras and the 12 dimensions?
Yes, indeed. There is a multidimensionality aspect with the human form, where when you do come in, set within a grid or a structure, are the different elemental propensities and properties of the soul and the spiritual states you see. So there are more than 7 chakra systems. However, as you understand, many are aware of 7, and there are multiple layers to the auric field indeed. But there is a situational expectancy or experience where within your state of consciousness, if you were to tune into the different, we are saying bilocations, because you see the chakra systems are not set only within this space and time. They are quantum in nature, and they do access information through multiple realities, meaning you would understand it a very simplistic nature, past life expressions. So within these frequencies, there is a connection, there is a similarity and a partnership. However, they are not limited to these vibrational bands of consciousness, because as you are ascending up into the new states of creation and expression and being in the physical vicinities and in the physical form in your reality, your chakras are going through upgrades as well. So which will become a blending and a movement. For us, it looks like a fluid dance and a movement. But at this time, for your understanding, that would be a way in which you could delineate this expression of consciousness.
And what's the relation with geometry and the dimensions, the different dimensions moving up?
Okay. We will. We're not sure we understand the basis of this question. Are you speaking of geometry in 4D, where it is has form and life, or are you speaking of sacred structures?
Sacred structures, I've seen different explanations of dimensions where it was almost like a building block building upon each other, like a single form is the first dimension, a tetrahedron's the fourth, and so on, and it keeps building up. And then I've also heard from different people that just the sixth dimension is where sacred geometry resides and begins building upwards. And so I've heard many different things on geometry related to the dimensions, and so I was wondering if you could clarify on that with sacred geometry.
Indeed. Well, sacred geometry carries within it a vibration and an expression, and there is a structure and a form that these different formations do create added elements of protection or support or structure, which is very important when one is moving through time and space, weaving in and out of consciousness and understandings, you see. So the geometrical properties are always there. It is more the beings who are in these lower dimensional states of awareness afforded the opportunity to be aware of the world in the higher realms of consciousness, and it is very hard, we would say, for this to be. So when the consciousness is lifted up into the sixth dimension, this is where there is more activity with sacred geometry. Yes, indeed. But it is not one that should be said to only reside in that frequency, because truth is truth and light is light, and it spans through all of creation and all dimensions and realms. So it is more an aspect of your understanding from your state of consciousness, your perception. What can the being, human and alike, whom are in your physical vicinity, within your band, your frequency band, around your auric station, what dimensional properties are you aware of? Because there are many who lift their frequencies while in the physical body, who do see through time and space, and who do see with the stars and leave this space of residency where most of humankind is residing. And when they do, they are afforded more opportunities and a higher level of understanding. And as they pop up into the sixth dimensional realm, they may see more movement with the sacred sounds of creation and also the sacred vibrational aspects. So vibration coming into physical form, and this is where you would begin to see the physical formulations of the sacred geometry. But in your awareness and in your reality, weaving through to the physical plane, there is sacred geometry all around. It is a building block of creation as you understand it to be.
Thank you. And regarding the 12D grid, where do our spirit guides and ancestors and even earthbound spirits, where do they reside, within or out of the grid?
We do enjoy your questionings. Yes, indeed. So let's begin with one, shall we? So the spiritual beings whom you would term your spirit guides can weave in and out, ebb and flow through the different dimensional frequencies. They are not tied to a physical body. They are not tied within the structure of the 12-dimensional grid. So they are very much afforded the opportunity to be stationed outside of the grid or within the grid. It is up to their liking and to their understanding and in which level of space are they best afforded an opportunity to care for their loved one here on earth, for their kin, for those who would call them their guides. And so they may weave back and forth, up and down. You see, it is a much based upon the frequency and the level of awareness of the person or beingness whom they are watching over and taking care of and leading and guiding. So this would be the guides, you see. For the departed loved ones, it is in our best understanding that depending upon the spiritual nature, the spiritual realm and space and residency, they would return to their home frequency. for the most part, you see. So as we were mentioning, star beings have the opportunity, as they have released karmic ties, to ascend beyond the 12th dimensional grid. However, if there is karma for any being holding them down and back and through, all of their embodiment, meaning all of their spiritual nature, embodiment, we are saying, because we see the light. And so all of this vibration of light does not cross back over the 12th dimensional grid if they are held to the earth dimension with connections or cords or streamers or karmic ties. Then only an aspect of themselves resides beyond the 12th dimension after the physical body is no more. However, there is an opportunity for many who feel comfortable, at peace, and right in their heart, and who have cleared their karmic misunderstandings and forgiven themselves and others. They have the opportunity to cross beyond the 12th dimensional band. For those whom you term earthbound, they have not ascended in their level of awareness for the most part, even up to the 8th dimension. So many will stay around the 4th in the astral realm, and from time to time may find a sense of false understanding in the 6th dimension that they are in heaven, but they are actually not in the highest space in which they could ascend to. So it is a very beautiful gift when mankind assists spirits to the light, meaning assisting them up higher into the space where they may have a life review and clear their frequency and ascend into their home space and realm or state of consciousness, depending upon each individual spirit's how shall we say, not only the resonating frequency and that in which they reside with, but the desire of their heart and where were they before they came into the physical body. And which was the next? We recall there were 3.
Earthbounds.
This were the earthbounds we were just speaking of, and prior to that were the guides.
Ancestors, yes.
Ancestors, okay, indeed. Well, very similar to the same explanation with the earthbounds, the ancestors can weave through time and space. So we will say that our second explanation was more for ancestors then. The third would be for more earthbounds who are not able to leave beyond the 6th dimension of reality because they are connected and tied by one means or another to the physical life, and this is their reality and point of consciousness.
Okay, and so when someone truly physically leaves the body and they have the experience where that astral cord that ties their spirit to the body goes through the white light and it's severed, is that when they have crossed through and out of the 12th dimensional grid?
Not always, no, that is when they leave the body. So there are many expressions of light and frequencies. So when they leave the body, that connection to the body is dissolved. However, they may have a connection still to the grids of Earth or choose to stay Earthside. And over time, this becomes their reality, and many enjoy this experience and others do not. They may feel lost or alone or forsaken. So for those who enjoy the experience, it is always an interesting expression in consciousness and in time when they realize that there is other periods or vibrational expansion to be had, and they are lost in a stupor in a way. They are floating through time and space, and time is not the same. So for them, things on Earth may feel slow, their time may feel fast, or vice versa, depending upon their perception. However, when they fully ascend to the higher realms of consciousness, they see that there is no time. So in this 4th through 6th, but more certainly in the 4th, time is very elusive indeed.
Thank you. So with that explanation, and along with the grids, with parallel Earths and parallel realities, are these also all just parallel grids as well? Or do all the parallel realities reside within this 12D grid?
There are endless possibilities, but we wish to expand your awareness to the multi-universes, the multiverses. And in these instances of creation, when one would jump in quantum leap into another timeline, meaning the timelines in which we have been speaking of, there is an opportunity to shift outside of the grid to another reality completely. But leading up to that, many find the minute switches of their path forward in the current reality to timeline jump into another reality which is outside of the 12th grid, so into a parallel universe. There must be an activation of the mind-body connection, the Merkaba, and all elements of the spirit and soul consciousness in alignment with a new space of desire and creation. This is not just a thought from the mind, this is an activation of the energetic body and field, but it is possible, you see. And this is when you feel these major leaps within your system. But there is a lot of frequency on Earth right now, where all are pushing through time, as it were. We see it like a wormhole pushing through a space and opening in your reality of time and conscious awareness, where you are all ascending at this moment. You see, Earth is ascending as a collective. So this is different. However, there are multiple opportunities, and we wish to share with you this reality. Those star beings who are here for a purpose and a reason will stay, for the most part, within the 12 dimensional frequencies of the current realm, helping mankind forward in this greater system to the ascension of humanity in this reality, moving forward and creating a new connection with Mother Earth.
Thank you. That makes a lot of sense. And this question is different and comes from all of my movie watching with Star Wars and Star Trek. And so these movies, one of them's in the past, one of them's in the future, but they're all related to interplanetary travel through craft, with time warps and light speed and things like that. And so would that be for our future at some point for Earth, when people they can travel to different systems? Would they all now be in the same grid then? Would that be in a different, expansive, new reality, new grid, where we can have the interplanetary travel through ships and whatnot?
The interplanetary travel will be available through the assistance of beings in higher spaces, assisting with the teleportation and the light travel. They will be in the grid. However, it is like a portal or a wormhole that was created through assistance of these higher intelligence and higher frequency residing beings whom reside in the 16th dimension through the 18th dimension outside of your grid, you see. They will assist, and when they pop through this reality, much care is taken so that the physical form is not in undue stress or pressure. There are advanced technologies for this. When they pop through, they will be out of the grid that is on Earth at this time. However, they will need assistance to do so. And so, does this answer your question? There is a little bit of both of your question answered here, you see. There's a little bit of both of your thoughts relayed as the truth. It is both, you see.
Yes, I'm wondering if that is a potential and possibility for people in this lifetime, or if it's going to be much further down in human years in the future.
In the future, yes. And if it were in this life reality, it would be because there is someone from the future coming back to this space and time, doing some time travel with advanced technologies. But this will not be what we will be seeing in this form of travel within your lifetime here.
Right. Okay. Bummer. So for the last episode, we were ending on the second dimension, and you're describing it a little bit of like the consciousness gets to see itself from a second perspective. And so would you say that that is the dimension of duality or polarity?
It could be, but in your understanding, there is more pressure applied with polarity. There is more of a choice to be made with the consequence. So that is where time comes in, into the third dimension, because then there is more polarity and duality in that there is a consequence or a response to a thought and a reaction, and it becomes more physicalized. So, and everything is much slower than where you are now. So something is thought about and contemplated on and mulled over, and then the action is taken, and then sometime down you will see, the result of the action, where in your space now it is very quick that there will be an equal vibration coming back to manifest with a reply, we will call it, for you. So it is more within the third density where there is this duality or polarity, in that there is a response to your choice and desires.
And can you clarify the difference between a density and a dimension, or are they the same?
They are different indeed, but very similar. So you have your third density, fourth dimension. So the density is the physical properties and how it slows down and how you experience or see your physical body and the physicality around you. But then the dimension brings with it more fluidity with the time and the spirit connection. It's more of a blending and a merging with the spirit, the spiritual aspect of nature.
Okay. And so in the last episode, you were talking about the third dimension and what that's like, and how the differentiation a little bit between the third and the fourth. So could you start to explain the difference between the third and the fourth, and what the fourth dimension is like?
Yes, there are many avenues in which we could express these qualities, but we will go with the experience. So in the third dimension, there is an aspect, as we were speaking, of understanding more about your consciousness and about your actions and about interconnectedness and relationships, and learning a bit more where in your expression it is a mirroring, where you will say some experience has mirrored for you a truth or an opportunity for growth. And this happens frequently in the third dimension. As you are moving through the fourth dimension, this is when more autonomy and more authority over self and more integrity comes forward, because you have seen how your interactions affect all in a physical way, in a way that is slower. And now, how do your actions and thoughts affect the self, which in turn will affect the all? However, it is more about the self, because the response happens much more quickly. There are more synchronicities in the fourth dimension. There is more fluidity and instantaneous manifestation, you see. And this is why it brings forward this experience of the self, because it is very present and it does not take a long to manifest. So it will come into the reality, but additionally, as you will find, you are teeter-tottering with a decision to be made, and you may feel into one and feel forward in time and really understand where that will lead you, and then quickly you may snap back and say, no, I do not want that reality. And then you come back to the present space and move forward again, deciding with the heart, whereas in the past realities it would be more with the mind and it would be more of an experiment to test the waters, as it were, and to see what would happen. But here you know what will happen if you feel into it with the heart and let the mind remain open. So there is more responsibility. You have graduated, you are moving forward, you are holding within your state of consciousness more integrity and more assurance that you are becoming more and more the creators of your reality. And so things become a little more easy when the decisions are made that are in alignment with your soul frequency and your mission at hand, your life path. Additionally, it can be very, very challenging if you are flowing off of what is in alignment with your soul choices and desires. And these soul choices and desires are the desires that you set forth for yourself before incarnating into the physical body. So it is still a decision by the soul, yourself, your frequency. And the ego mind in many aspects will say, I choose not to do this. It is too hard, too challenging, or I'm having too much excitement and joy in these other avenues, paths of creation and expression. But then they will see that it doesn't flow so smoothly for them. And in fact, sometimes you will call it crashing and burning. They crash and burn and it does not work out, and they have to start over again until they get back on their frequency path or band. So this is where many are now, and as they move forward, they will ascend into the 5th dimension of frequency. But before we speak upon this frequency, does this make a sense? And are there any other questions about these levels of creation?
Definitely does, with the feeling. I'm wondering with the relation of time and space with the 4th dimension, because from my understanding, within our grid, within the 4th dimension, resides many different beings in the inner earth and around the planet and in the planet and on the planet. And but they have different abilities than a 3rd dimensional being with time. And so could you explain that a little bit?
Yes, indeed. So as we spoke of realms, there are different realms, and the realm creates their own reality. They may create their own structure of time and their own governances of being, their own community, and how things work. Like a beehive, is it working as a community? And in which ways are things set about? Or is it more fluid and flowing? Maybe pockets of community, these sort of things. So in the 4th level, as you understand, or the 4th dimension of reality, time is pliable. It can be manipulated. And so some realms may choose to live in a clockwork, we will call it, in a system where it is slower, and others where it is higher. It is based upon their choice and desire. Are they connected more with the history of Earth? And if they are, it may feel a little bit slow because they have accumulated all of the wisdom and knowledge, and all of the wisdom and knowledge can be very heavy, and it will have a sensation of slowing time down. Or are they more like the fairy realm and always moving quickly and in flight and moving forward with joy in their heart? Not saying the others do not have joy in their heart, but they have more of a serious nature or a stoic beingness of taking care, and all are providing and are provided for in an appropriate manner. So there are very unique qualities and qualifications of each of these realms that exist within the 4th dimensional space. Even as the humans are expanding, you understand that time is elusive, and some moments and some days it feels very long and drawn out, where others it feels very short or a blink of an eye. So this is where we get into this space, and this is why it is possible through attraction with magnetics, so vibrational frequencies in the etheric field, which is electromagnetic, to bring to you and manifest quickly if the energy is in alignment. And this can be for that which you choose and desire and would turn to be happy. But it could also be that you attract something to yourself that you would rather not have experienced. So There is some to be said about the force of nature with the mind and the mental body. Like a beacon, it sends out a signal, but the heart is much stronger. So you can cancel clear out a signal of the mind if the heart is in another space of resonance. So there is a little bit of a wibbly wobbly there, because you may feel you are moving forward with the mental body, and then the heart chakra may come, the spiritual nature and soul frequency may come in and cancel that movement of whatever it is you might be attracting to you or that you are flowing towards. So it is a space where there is more responsibility, you see, understanding how frequency works, understanding how you move with time and forward in vibration and popping onto these frequencies. Much is done with intention. And intention, as you understand it to be, may be a bit different than how we experience intention. Intention for us is connected with the heart space. So just a mental intention without any action will not produce results. An action is ignited within the physical body as an energetic frequency pushing forward or attracting to. Many move forward with their lower chakra centers, the power forces of their divine free will, moving forward with their sacral and the solar plexus chakra, or stomping with their root chakra and being very like aggressive in a way, or very serious. However, we are showing that it is very beautiful when you let the heart lead the way. And that is why we have been sharing with many this space in your time and our partner, that as these timelines are weaving in and out, and there is much a commotion with the breaking down of systems, the clearing of the Akash, and the cancellation of, we will call them a timeline, the cancellation of desires, because this is all in flux in the space of your reality, in your present now moments. This is why we are sharing. It is more fruitful if you are flowing forward with your heart space, navigating the information and the intelligence that is received in the heart mind-body connection, coming through the heart's intelligence, you understand. So it is going to be more beneficial to work through the heart in these few weeks and months to come than at the solar plexus, pushing through in a way which may have worked in the past but will not work anymore, because it worked in a set system and a government and a reliance which is not there anymore. So it will be now more of a community coming together from the spiritual side of things, the humanitarian side of things, the space of love and compassion, and the resonating connection at the heart space. And we were very happy to see your 444 global meditation, you see, because there were many hearts coming together to connect. And they did send out a signal, and we are here to share with you that it was heard and it will be responded to in time. So does this make a sense to you, dear one?
That's really beautiful. But so my question before moving to the fifth dimension is, even though we can ascend our consciousness, does our physical body ascend as well? Or does our physical body remain in the third dimension, even if we're moving into 7th, 8th, 9th frequencies?
It is an overlapping and a very beautiful stretch and a pull and a movement. But yes, the physical body will ascend, indeed. And many of you are creating the steps for this and have worked towards it and have already created shifts within your reality that are preparing a baseline and preparing the way for a quantum leap or a quantum jump when the time is right. It's like a flash, and then the body will be in that new space. There are some on your planes who have already ascended, and you can still see them. They are already more physically in the fifth dimension, and their light shines a bit brighter, and their physical body has a little bit of difference in nature. So, but it would take one who is aware and observant and feels the energy, because you are in a space of duality, and here you will see what you have been led to believe, and here you will understand as you were conditioned to understand. So pushing past those barriers and clearing out the conscious constraints, the confinements, clearing those out and being more open, you will see, and perhaps you will begin to converse and become more in awareness and in unity with these beings. And in unity, we mean flowing more with them in your community and in your conscious reality. And you may too find that your frequency lifts and shifts into this space of beingness, we will call, because you are still residing in this realm, because you are still here. However, you have shifted, and over time all will shift, and then when all shifts, it will be a grand shift indeed.
Okay, thank you. And so now would you describe what the fifth dimension is like?
Yes, very beautiful. There is a lot of light quotients here. It is like going from your old televisions of the 1980s to the 4K reality overnight, you see. Everything is bright and light and clean, and the mind is clean and the spirit is clean, and there is more telepathy in this sort of way, more communication of the energetic space. There is a more flowing and just understanding and more being, as you see the younger children of your space and time just very intuitively picking up on new systems of technology. Then this is how it will be. All will understand very easily, very intuitively, the advanced mathematics and the advanced sciences, and the space of healing will be different, and it will become more of, oh, I knew this all along, rather than I am learning. It is more of a, oh yes, a remembrance. And there will be an opportunity to still clear a bit more karma. We are sharing that it has, and it is clearing, you see. But in those spaces, it will be more related to that reality. So karma might not be the most appropriate term, but you understand that framework. So it will be more understanding the self and the soul. But again, we're going to go back into a community space. So where you had community interactions more pressing upon you, giving that contrast and those lessons in the third. Then in the fourth, it flowed back to the self. And in the fifth, it will be a combination, because now you have the knowledge and awareness. And not only will you be making a choice or a movement that will affect and influence the self, but you will see the grand ripple and how it will affect the whole, where that vision was not available in the third. And although it was understood in the fourth, the focal your focalization was being on the now and the person, the personal experience. So in the fifth, it will be more of an awareness of the self and how you are a part of the all, like a beautiful tapestry of light. You will have your individual aspects. This is a misunderstanding, miscommunication that many feel to be one with all, you will lose your individuality. It is not the case. It is like you could understand when you are meditating in a group and you are all vibrating in a frequency and united, you have come together in light, but you are still. So you will understand your expression of joy, peace, unity, and desires, and how that moves through with the community and all coming together. And there will be some resistance, because all, as it is now, will not want for the same. And it is okay, because then you will understand and very respectfully part ways and go and do your own, or find a group that wants the same out of life. Think of it as hobbies or interests. So where are you placing your focus? And you will weave through very easily. Whereas in your time and space, ending relationships is a bit more tricky and a bit more challenging, because there is more emotion and there is more contemplation and there is more of an energetic connection. Whereas in the fifth, you will be energetically united when you choose and when you are just being. However, you are not linked or tied in a way that would keep you from your path. And there are many expressions and experiences in the third and the fourth where beings are anchored into a community or a relationship or a choice and not allowed to release very easily. So in the fifth, there will be more respect for autonomy. And as you claim your sovereignty, you will flow into the fifth with that, which will relay as autonomy. Does this make a sense?
Yes, so I have two questions about this. One is regarding soul families and soul groups. And along with things changing in the Akash and just different, all timelines changing now, do you feel that in the fifth dimension there is such a big need for still having soul groups and soul families? Or is that more outdated?
We are very amused by this perception. It is making us happy, you see, in a very joyful, loving way, because your soul families will always be your soul families. So it is not that is it needed, it is that it is, and it will continue to be so through all dimensional spaces of consciousness. Your soul families are those whom, from our space we see, reside with you outside of the 12th dimension. And so then they choose to come in with you, you see. And of course, there will be others whom you have met within the grid and come back in with. And that aspect may be up to no longer having to, but perhaps you would choose to. And here you will also begin to understand when you meet another, you will have a heart-to-heart resonating frequency, a connection, and you see it in your space as well, but it will be more prevalent, where you know that you know them from somewhere. You recognize their frequency and you feel the beauty and the grace and love and the compassion and the gratitude. So even for those whom had challenges within relationships with one another, there will be more of a healing and an understanding and a coming to terms of the past. And it is a very beautiful space where there will be a lot of fluidity and love and opportunities to heal and look back, even if it were not through cognitive thinking, but just to merge by maybe pressing hands together and saying, you will understand it, calling the truth, saying we are well, we are good, it is in the past and we are united moving forward. Does this make a sense for you?
I would love some clarification on the difference and the feeling of the difference, especially for people watching. I feel like this is a big topic between people and members of their soul family, because sometimes there's a feeling of obligation, like even to your physical family, thinking that they're soul family, versus a karmic person in your life or a karmic relationship where it's not necessarily something that should be, after you've made that truth, it's not necessarily a soul family relationship.
We will answer and address to the best of our awareness. And if there is more information, please let us know. So you are in a space where you can create karma with anyone. It does not need to be family in the physical sense, nor in the spiritual sense, but it could be someone you cross paths with or had a relationship with or worked with, and these sort of things, and that can flow through time. We do not always come back in the same cyclic patterns with the same beings in the same family units. Does not that way. So karma really does not play in that way with family. However, we understand too what you are saying and expressing regarding feeling a connection and an obligation. And this is where more of the sovereignty comes in, and you shall say, the choices and desires of my ancestry and even the family members who are active and alive and present in the now moment are not in alignment with my choices and desires. And while I love and I'm grateful for and respect them for the roles that they play, I am choosing to go about my way on my own path. And this is where clearings can happen. And there can be respect and there can be strong boundaries. So this is how timelines are shifted, and this is how ancestral trauma and patterns are changed, because one chooses and dares to speak up for themselves, so that these inclinations that have been weaving and rolling through this family lineage for generations comes to an end, you see, and you are stopping that from occurring, clearing out those codes and the karma that may be tied to the family. So the karma that is tied to the family is more cumbersome to the being who is clearing, because they are not resonating with it anyways. They are not claiming it to be their own, but it is linked within the physical body, within the DNA structure, but it can be cleared. And so when we say karma is clearing, this is an aspect of it, you see. It is not only your karma from past realities, but it can be the karma of the family. And how can you best clear the karma of the family if you are not standing in autonomy and stepping outside of that system of governance and claiming for yourself your light, your truth, and your oneness of wisdom, the wisdom of the heart and what is right and what is conscious. So we are sharing that from time to time, and in fact, in this time and your space, many are stepping out of family structures and units. Many are stepping out of the communities in which they grew up in, and many are rewriting the patterns, and our partner says that as a different word, traditions. Many are rewriting the traditions and foregoing traditions, because while there is love and unity and beauty in many traditions, some are created and steeped in fear and control. So religion is a big, because you see a religion that is much a control. However, many find compassion in religion and love in religion, and that is a space where they find great joy and beauty. So every structure has multifaceted expressions of truth and an experience for each individual. However, if you are clearing the darker or heavier or more confining aspects, you may find that you must step out completely. And this is for any structure or community or organization, you see. So does this answer the question? And is there a bit more that you would like us to expand upon?
Yes, it answers the question, especially, regarding structures and systems and religions and things like that. I think, what you're saying is so true, and especially even on social media, a lot of people are talking about this release from their family units. But something that really comes up for a lot of people with that is a lot of guilt, because there's a lot of societal guilt and pressure saying that, you should never do something like that. And I think a lot of people, especially starseeds, light workers, are going through that right now, where they're not resonating with their family members anymore. And so, on my personal journey, I've learned to forgive, and then forgive and love from a distance in some cases. And so can you speak to the people that are listening that are going through a similar situation, which is a lot of people, how they can handle it and release the guilt and learn to feel at peace with their decision to step away from a bloodline or a family unit?
Yes, indeed, and we will preface it with the explanation which you have shared. This does not mean that you do not love this being or the family, but it means that you are your own individual, you see. And our partner is saying that the cutting of the apron strings is something that is known in your reality. And so then the question would be, is it time? And if not now, when or ever? So when will you step into adulthood or manhood or womanhood and claim your sovereignty? Yes, indeed. When will you become your own and live from the heart what is right for you? So there is not a space where there need be disrespect, but there need to be boundaries and an understanding that you are your own sovereign being. How can you move forward if you are cycling in the past? And all of the frequencies that were in the past may be dying out, you see. You must release and move forward. Now, your family members also may find their own truth and desire, their own light of consciousness and their own avenues. And then you may move parallel together. You may support one another. You may find that space of compassion and love and kinship, without ties that bind you. And to be bound is not a very fruitful term. To be bound does not sound very joyful nor expansive from the heart. So if you are feeling bound and committed, which guilt is a form of binding. So if you are feeling this way, it is best that you take a moment and look at your reality and take a question and see, now, why am I feeling this way? So we are not saying guilt is to always be discarded, because perhaps you made a choice and you need to make amends, you see. However, were you born into this life to be a slave? And that is as far as we will say, because although it is very harsh, if you are not one unto yourself and you are belonging to an other's choices and desires, at the very core nature, you are not free. Does this make sense?
Yes. So my second question regarding the fifth dimension is regarding Gaia. And a lot of people say she's already ascended and she's in the fifth. And so we're just catching up. So can you explain that?
Yes, she has gone forward in time, and many of your beautiful beings of light who have crossed over are there waiting in the space and waiting to call you through. They are not all in physical form, they are in an energetic frequency, but they are there preparing this space and leading and guiding and calling collective through. And they are a way shower in their sense as well, because many of you here are way showers for those whom are incarnate. But many beautiful beings and ascended masteries of your time and times past are there, and they are calling you forward. So because there is a kinship and a resonating likeness and peace and understanding, they have pushed through, and then they have this vibration about them that is very human, and so they are bringing that back to pull you through, and you are catching up and you are doing beautifully. It is flowing now, it is flowing, and not only will this information be made known to more and more, but many are already traversing through these times, these parallel realities, even as it were. By parallel, we are saying within your 12 structure, your 12-dimensional structure, but they are flowing side by side with one another into the fifth dimension without the conscious understanding of what is a fifth dimension and where am I going and all of these things. They are naturally following the calling of that heart, and it is more of a give and a take and a contrast. If I do this, this will happen. And of course, they are understanding how things work and learning to flow and not force. And this is very important, because in the past many things were forced and now we are flowing. You just spin your wheels and waste your energy forcing. It doesn't work in this reality. The way that the frequency of time is, or the frequency and time, how they are together, does not really support forcing, you see. Yes, preparing and showing up and being accountable. However, in the past, many of you might have felt, and it was true, how you could manipulate expressions and realities with force, and it is not working now, you see. So Gaia is there, she is waiting. The animalistic kingdoms are there. Many animals take on the vibration and the space of consciousness of their partner, their family members, we will call them. You, the family, the humans. So they take on this reality. So if there is a human that is in a slower, heavier, denser reality, it may be a little bit more challenging for this animal to find peace and be in those higher frequencies, although they are connected with energy around, more sensitive to energy. But for the most part, nature and the animals are waiting for you, and they have a lot of patience. Very personalized from our experiences, a very personal statement from us. We think they are very too patient. We do not understand how patient they can be. You see, they are this patient with mankind. Mankind really has a lot to answer for, we say. But the animals are waiting in that space very lovingly, and many of the humans are already stepping into the fifth dimension.
Yes, there's so much I want to say with animals and diet, but I will not. So my last question is regarding the fifth dimension and Earth being there and us moving there. What about the beings, and I feel like this should be addressed, that actively are not, and they don't have any intention to? What happens with Earth? Is it splitting? Are the timelines splitting? What exactly is going on with all of that?
Well, yes, the timelines are splitting, and many of you have already experienced many of these in your reality, these signs or movements. Those who are not ready will not be forced, and you are in transition, so you will slowly see more of a dying out of the old systems, and those whom are holding, as we mentioned earlier, they are associating themselves with the old systems, and they will transpire. Their bodies will not proceed. However, this transition of time will be a transition. It will not happen in a day or a week or a month, you see. So they may live out the rest of their human body's capabilities. It can be shocking for some because the further they live, the more time that they live in the body, if they resist, it can be very taxing, and that anxiety and the turbulence can actually end the life. So the stress on the body, but those who are going through it kind of with their arms crossed, not really wanting to be a part of it, but okay, and seeing these things, they will live to be longer because there is a part of them that is like, okay, whatever, but they are not an active part of the movement, as it were. But you look and you could say this could be 100 years, perhaps a bit less, maybe a bit more, but we are hoping a bit less only because it will be more of ease and grace if it were seamless without much resistance. But there are still some beings who are being born into these old structures and systems. There are some communities and countries and government agencies that are very locked into these ways of being, and those will experience a very harsh expression of change and contrast. So everything is done gently, layer by layer, cycle by cycle, and this is where we will say all are loved and cared for, and all have a right to be here. If you are in a physical body, you are here for a purpose and a reason. What is that purpose and a reason is not for us to say. However, if you are in a physical body, it is not natural or the choice and desire of Gaia to kick you off of her system, but gradually you will fade into a new space, and when you come back in, you will come in with a new conscious awareness. Many will find that karma is clearing for them, and if they choose to come back into a third reality or a fourth reality, they may find that they do so by going back to another point in time. And this can be where souls will consistently, let's say, incarnate in a specific point in time in whatever realm they so desire. Does that make a sense?
Yes, thank you very much for all of your explanations today.
You are welcome. We are always delighted and very curious as to the questions, and we find them very beautiful and very much thought out. So thank you to you and all whom are presenting questions your way. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
So I guess next time we'll start talking about the sixth dimension and up. And ideally, once we get to the 12th, we'll talk a little bit about what it's like when we reach higher than that. And I'm looking forward to it.
As are we, dear one. Thank you very much for being here. We are enjoying this series, as you are calling it. And so we will see you all again very, very soon, as we are now preparing to leave the physical body. Oh, okay, one moment, I gotta come back in. Nice. Oh God, look at my hair. I'm sorry, y'all have to see that. Oh, that's funny. The human parts of ourselves. There we go. So I remember a lot of it this time. Yeah, I think because I was like really interested. What are they going to say, you know?
That's cool. Yeah, it was funny. I was like a little stressed in the beginning because I think everybody's home, and working, and it's a weekday, and I don't think we filmed on a weekday this time. And so my Wi-Fi was doing things, and Josh left his computer on, so I was like, there was a lot going on. It's a full moon, but then everything ended up, the Wi-Fi connection worked, and I loved their answers. It was beautiful, especially the one question I felt it's not necessarily related to dimensions, but I kept hearing that we have to ask that was about the family ties when that came in. So hopefully that's very helpful for anybody that's watching.
Yeah. I'm sure that's needed. Let us know in comments if that really resonated with you all. Yeah, it was fun. It was kind of funny, but they always share things that are very serious, but like in a kind way. But I feel what they mean behind it. So it's like, when they are like, were you born to be a slave? I was like, what?
I love that part. I was like, yes.
So, I mean, at some level, that makes sense, right? So, yeah.
Oh my God, I love that. I was like, yes, they're going there.
We did. Yeah. So, so thanks everybody. And of course, we are taking questions, so you can leave them in the comments below. And we'll see you all in the next one. Turn on the notifications if you want to be notified. We're trying to get about one a week out, but as you can tell, they're not coming out on the same day. So, surprise, you'll get a notification.
Yes. So thank you very much for tuning in, everyone, and definitely subscribe. And we love the interaction and the comments. So whenever anything comes to your mind, even if it's going back into the very first episode or whatnot, just let us know, and they are very much looking forward to your questions as well. So exciting. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. Bye. Thank you for tuning in to our interview series, Conversations with the Council of Light. We are very much looking forward to bringing you many more to come. You can find Amy online at amysikarskie.com, spiritschoolmagic.com, and on Instagram at amysikarskie. And you can find the Council of Light on Instagram at @starseeded_ascensions. You can find me online at catfowler.com and on Instagram at catfowler, as well as check out the Council of Light's original interview on the Soul Awakening podcast, which sparked the idea for this whole series. So we wish you a beautiful day filled with love, light, and peace, and we look forward to seeing you on the next show.